If you loved me, you'd pay off my family's debts, my fiancée declared when her mask slipped. I walked away with the ring. That night, the harassment started. The day I asked Margaret to marry me was the happiest of my life. Her tearful yes, as I knelt on one knee at her favorite restaurant, felt like the beginning of everything. The diamond ring, 3 months of my salary, sparkles under the soft lighting as I slid it onto her finger. Her hands trembled. Mine did too. We celebrated with champagne, toasted forever, called our families with the news. I didn't know then that I'd just triggered a trap 3 years in the making. Looking back, I can see how carefully Margaret had crafted her persona, how meticulously she'd hidden her true nature. For 3 years, she'd been the perfect girlfriend, thrifty, understanding, seemingly content with simple dates and thoughtful gestures rather than expensive gifts. She'd never pressured me about money, never complained when I worked overtime saving for our future. It was all an act. The next morning started like a dream. Margaret insisted we visit her parents to share our happiness in person. I agreed without hesitation. Her family had always been warm to me, inviting me for Sunday dinners, including me in holiday celebrations. What I'd interpreted as friendliness had been careful calculation. I should have seen the signs. The way her father inventoried my possessions with his eyes whenever I visited. How her mother casually extracted information about my salary and savings through seemingly innocent questions. The siblings who joked about me being their meal ticket someday. But love blinds you to red flags, makes you color them rose instead. We arrived at her parents' modest 2-story home bearing pastries and coffee. Her mother hugged me, called me son for the first time. Her father clapped my shoulder with unusual enthusiasm. I didn't understand why the air felt different, heavier somehow. We gathered in their living room, the faded couch, the outdated television, the family photos covering every wall. It felt familiar. I thought it was safe. Then I noticed something strange. A bottle of expensive champagne chilling on the side table. New clothes on Margaret's siblings. Her mother wearing jewelry I'd never seen before. Small signs of anticipation, of celebration before our arrival. Like they'd been waiting for this moment, planning for it. Margaret's father cleared his throat after the initial congratulations died down. He shared a look with his wife, a practiced exchange. She nodded subtly, my stomach tightened. "Now that you're going to be part of the family, we should discuss expectations," he said, his tone rehearsed. Professional, nothing like his usual casual manner. I smiled, nodded, assumed he meant responsibilities, family gatherings, holiday rotations. He pulled out a folded piece of paper from his inside jacket pocket. Not just any paper. It looked formal, typed, with calculations in the margins. He smoothed it on the coffee table with the confidence of someone who'd rehearsed this moment many times. My eyes followed his movements. A detailed financial list, complete with payment schedules, interest calculations, projected dates. This wasn't spontaneous. This was meticulously planned. My throat went dry. "These are our family's financial needs," he continued, as if discussing the weather. "As Margaret's husband, we expect you to help with these." The list blurred before my eyes. Mortgage payoff, personal loans, home renovations, a new car, college funds for Margaret's younger siblings, medical bills. The total at the bottom had more zeros than my annual salary. I looked at Margaret, waited for her to laugh, to say this was some strange initiation joke. She didn't. Instead, I watched her entire demeanor transform. The sweet, understanding girlfriend vanished. In her place sat a stranger, her posture straightened. Her smile sharpened. Her eyes, those eyes I thought I knew, held something I'd never seen before. Cold calculation, absolute certainty. The mask had fallen away completely. My chest constricted. The room suddenly felt too small, too hot. "This is a joke, right?" My voice sounded distant to my own ears. Her father's rehearsed smile vanished. "Do I look like I'm joking? You make good money. You have savings, approximately $58,000 based on our calculations." He knew the exact figure. Had they been monitoring my accounts somehow? "We've struggled for years to give Margaret everything. Now it's your turn to help the family." I stood up, needed space, air, reality. "I can't afford all this. I've saved for our future, for a house, for our children someday." Margaret's mother asked, disappointment etched across her face. So selfish. After all we've done to prepare Margaret for you. Prepare her for me. The phrasing chilled me, like she'd been groomed specifically as bait. Margaret tugged my arm, pulled me back to the couch with surprising strength. Her perfectly manicured nails dug into my skin. Nothing like the practical, short nails she'd always maintained, claiming they're just more practical for my job. "Honey, we discussed this," she whispered, her voice honeyed but eyes hard. "Remember, you said you'd do anything for me." But we hadn't discussed this. Not once in our 3 years together had she mentioned this expectation, this burden. This had been her plan all along, to secure the ring before revealing the trap. "No, we didn't." The words came out stronger than I intended. Her father stood up then, towered over me, his face reddened. "You think you can marry my daughter without supporting her family? What kind of man are you?" The question hung in the air, sharp, accusatory. What kind of man was I? One who believed marriage meant building a life together, not paying off someone else's debts. "I love Margaret. I want to support her, but I can't take on your financial responsibilities." Her younger brother snorted from the doorway. "Figured you'd be cheap, all that money and unwilling to share." "All what money? My modest savings. My entry-level corporate salary that barely covered my student loans." I looked at Margaret, searched her face for the woman I fell in love with, the one who appreciated simple dates, who talked about wanting a small wedding, who never seemed materialistic. She wouldn't meet my eyes. "Margaret, can we talk privately?" She followed me to the kitchen, her shoulders stiff, arms crossed. "Did you know about this?" She shrugged. "Of course, it's expected. When you marry someone, you marry their family." My heart pounded in my ears. Marriage means supporting each other, building our own family, not paying off your parents' mortgage. Her eyes narrowed. "So you won't help, after everything they've done for me, for us?" "They've never done anything for me." The truth slipped out before I could stop it. Her palm connected with my cheek. The sting surprised me more than hurt. "You're selfish. I thought you loved me." The words struck deeper than her hand. How had love become this transaction, this test of financial sacrifice? "I do love you, but this isn't about love. It's about using me as an ATM." Her family appeared in the doorway. Had they heard everything? Had they been listening all along? Her father's face contorted with rage. "Get out of my house if you won't help this family." Margaret's silence was my answer. She chose them, their demands, their expectations, not our love, not our future. I removed the diamond ring from her finger. It felt heavier now, weighted with broken promises. "I'm sorry, I can't marry someone who hid this from me, who expected this without discussion." The tears that filled her eyes almost broke my resolve. Almost. "You're making a mistake," she whispered. "No one will ever love you like I do." I realized then she was right, but not in the way she meant. No one else had ever seen me as a financial solution rather than a partner. I walked out of that house a different man than the one who'd entered it. Lighter in some ways, heavier in others. The harassment started that night. Phone calls from blocked numbers. Social media posts calling me a coward, a cheapskate, not a real man because I wouldn't sacrifice my financial future for people who hadn't earned it. Margaret texted continuously, alternating between anger and pleading, between threats and declarations of love. I blocked her number after the 100th message. 2 weeks later, she showed up at my apartment, pounded on the door until my neighbors threatened to call the police. Her eyes were bloodshot, her words slurred. "You owe us," she screamed through the door. "You promised forever." I hadn't opened the door, couldn't bear to see her like this, to be reminded of how thoroughly I'd misjudged her character. The next day, I consulted a lawyer about a restraining order, started apartment hunting in a different neighborhood, changed my phone number, ran from the life I thought I wanted. Her family's financial demand list surfaced at my workplace somehow. Whispers followed me in the break room, judgmental glances in meetings. I requested a transfer to our branch office across town, started over again. 6 months passed, the harassment faded. Life settled into a new normal. Then came the wedding invitation in my mailbox. Margaret's name embossed in gold on creamy cardstock. Marrying someone I'd never heard of. Someone with a last name I recognized from local business listings. Someone wealthy. A handwritten note fell from the envelope. Found someone who knows a man's responsibility. Thought you should see what you lost. I stared at it for a long time. Waited for the pain, the regret, the loss. It never came. Instead, I felt relief wash over me. Pure, uncomplicated relief. I'd escaped. Not just an unreasonable financial burden, but a life tied to people who measured love in dollar signs, who saw relationships as transactions, who would have bled me dry emotionally and financially without remorse. I shredded the invitation, tossed the pieces along with the final remnants of what I'd once felt for her. My phone buzzed with a text from someone I'd been seeing casually, someone who insisted on splitting the bill on our first date, who valued independence alongside partnership, who talked about building something together, not taking what already existed. We were meeting for coffee, nothing serious yet, just potential, honest potential. I glanced around my new apartment before leaving, smaller than my last place, further from work, but mine, safe. The engagement ring sat in my dresser drawer. The diamond caught light when I opened it. A reminder of the price I almost paid for someone else's version of forever. Someday I'd sell it, or reset it for someone who understood that love isn't a financial transaction. That marriage isn't a business merger. That forever shouldn't come with a price tag. But today, I was just grateful for the bullet I'd dodged, for the red flags I'd finally seen, for the strength to walk away when staying would have been easier in the moment but devastating for a lifetime. To everyone facing that moment of clarity when the person you love reveals themselves to be someone you don't recognize, trust that revelation. No matter how painful, love shouldn't cost you your future, your dignity, your sense of self. Real love builds. It doesn't drain. Real love supports. It doesn't demand. Real love sees you as a partner, not a solution to financial problems. I carry these truths with me now. Hold them close when doubt creeps in during lonely moments, because some prices are too high even for forever. My phone rang at 3 a.m. 6 months later. I grabbed it instinctively, eyes still closed. "Hello," my voice rasped with sleep, silence, then a small sob. I knew immediately, my body tensed. "Margaret, I made a mistake," her words slurred together. "He's not like you, he's mean when he drinks, controlling." My heart raced, not with longing, with something more complicated, pity mixed with vindication. "You need to call someone else, we're not in each other's lives anymore." "My family hates me," another sob. "The wedding's off, all that money spent for nothing." I sat up in bed, fully awake now. "I'm sorry you're hurting, but I can't be your backup plan." "You were always so good, so kind." Her voice had taken on that manipulative quality I'd somehow never noticed when we were together. "I need help, just alone until I get back on my feet." The old me might have considered it, might have felt responsible for her happiness, but I wasn't that person anymore. "Goodbye, Margaret, I wish you well." I ended the call, blocked her new number. Lay awake staring at the ceiling, not because I regretted my decision, but because I was grateful for how far I'd come, how clearly I could see now. Sometimes the things that hurt us most, the rejections, the betrayals, the painful endings, are actually saving us from something worse. Something like waking up 10 years later, financially drained and emotionally exhausted, trapped in a life you never wanted with people who see you as a resource rather than a human being. The next morning, I deleted the voicemail she'd left after I hung up. Didn't even listen to it. Some chapters need to remain closed. The woman I was now dating, Emily, noticed my distraction over breakfast. "Rough night?" she asked, pushing a cup of coffee toward me. I considered lying, making up an excuse about work stress or insomnia. Instead, I told her the truth, about Margaret's call, about our history, about the family who'd seen me as nothing more than a financial solution. Emily listened without interrupting, her expression thoughtful rather than jealous or worried. When I finished, she reached for my hand across the table. "Thank you for telling me, for trusting me with that." Such a simple response, but it contained everything I needed to hear. Trust, understanding, acknowledgement without drama. We finished breakfast talking about other things, weekend plans, a movie we wanted to see, normal everyday topics. But something had shifted, deepened. Some relationships break us, teach us what love isn't. Others help rebuild us, show us what love could be. I was learning to recognize the difference, and that perhaps was worth everything I'd been through. Emily and I moved in together that same month. Combined furniture, kitchen utensils, books. We created a budget together, discussed financial goals, shared dreams about travel and career and whether we wanted children someday. Conversations that flowed naturally, without manipulation or hidden expectations. One evening, her parents invited us for dinner. Nice people who treated me with respect, who asked about my job with genuine interest rather than calculating what it might provide them. Her father pulled me aside while Emily helped her mother with dessert. "She seems happy with you," he said simply. "I'm happy with her too," he nodded. Consider his next words carefully. That's all we want for her. Not money or status or any of those things. Just someone who treats her well and makes her happy. The contrast with Margaret's family struck me forcefully. How different this man was from the one who'd presented me with a financial demand list. "I appreciate that," I replied, meant it. What a gift it was, to be valued for how I treated someone, not what I could provide materially. Later that night, Emily and I walked through our neighborhood, the summer air warm against our skin, our hands linked comfortably between us. "I have something to ask you," I said, heart quickening. She looked at me, waited. "Would you be open to meeting with a financial advisor together to talk about our long-term plans, joint accounts versus separate, retirement savings?" Not the most romantic question. Not one I would have asked Margaret, who would have seen it as an opportunity to access my savings rather than build something together. Emily smiled. "I'd like that. It's important to be on the same page about money." Such a simple response, but it meant everything. Financial compatibility, transparency, partnership. I squeezed her hand, felt gratitude wash over me. Sometimes the best things in life come after the worst, after the heartbreak and disappointment, after learning hard lessons about what you don't want. I'd almost married someone who saw me as a wallet rather than a partner, who'd hidden her true expectations until she thought she had me locked in. The narrow escape had taught me to value different things, to recognize authentic connection, to appreciate someone who wanted to build with me rather than take from me. One day, I might consider marriage again, might even sell that engagement ring still sitting in my drawer to buy a different one for a different woman. But this time, I'd know the right questions to ask, the red flags to watch for, the difference between love and exploitation. I'd know that real love doesn't come with a price tag, or a financial demand list, or expectations of solving someone else's problems. Real love is a partnership, equal investment, mutual support, and sometimes you have to lose what you thought you wanted to find what you actually need. I looked at Emily walking beside me. Our shadows stretched long in the evening light, at the future unfolding before us, uncertain but full of honest potential. For the first time since that day in Margaret's parents' living room, I felt completely at peace with how things had turned out. Not because everything was perfect, but because everything was real. And that reality, that authenticity, was worth more than any dream built on false promises and hidden agendas. To everyone still looking for their person, don't settle for someone who sees you as a solution to their problems rather than a partner in life. You're worth more than that. We all are.